Hello everybody. This is actually one of those I wasn't gonna make this video moments, but I was really sitting back and thinking about it and a couple of concepts that come to my mind, and I thought I'd share them with you all as a couple of thoughts and metaphors and whatnot. But I was thinking about the mind, the consciousness, and the body. And then as I was sitting there, I was thinking about how oftentimes people are paranoid and terrified about what happens to the soul or consciousness or whatever you call it and all this other whatnot. And what I try to explain to people to the best of my ability in a way that people can understand is, and I've got a video about this called the Holy Trinity Explained in my data and science tab. But the reason in my playlist, but I wanted to talk about how the consciousness is created by the mind. And so I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson and another scientist and his co-star, other couple of co-stars talk about the difference between AI and awareness. And I was sitting there thinking a couple of things, and one of the things that came to my mind is awareness is just experience. Because if you think about it, most of us as a child, we may have done a lot, but we're unaware of what we were doing because we were not experienced enough to have that type of construct in the mind yet. It's more or less, as for a child, they're just experiencing the world firsthand. That's why as we grow and as we get older and we've experienced certain things in certain situations, then we can have empathy. Because, for example, as a child, if I listen to adults talking about like divorce or talking about their problems, it's going to be like, whatever. But as a grown man now, if I hear people talking about certain things, I don't want to say divorce because I've never been married, but I can identify with their pains of, being hurt in relationships, pains on jobs, pains with dealing with everyday people and whatnot. And so, what I basically wanted to explain when dealing with the experience of consciousness, based on what I experience, a lot of times as a civilization and as humanity as a whole, it seems like a lot of the spiritual constructs that we build for the consciousness, or what we would even call the subconscious, because a lot of people are being programmed with deep psychological knowledge from these books. What I like to say is that it's counterproductive. It's basically a situation where I exist, but now outside of my existence, because of what I've read, there is something greater over me. But instead of that greater being there to help guide me in a positive manner that allows me to consistently interact with people in a loving way, because of every different civilization and teaching, now what ends up happening is you have subsections of subdivisions of groups until humanity is living in ghettos, if that makes sense. And this is why a lot of times at the beginning of my videos, I was telling people I didn't want to get into race, but the more I had interacted with humanity outside of after COVID, it seems like some people still need catching up in certain classes. And so I was hoping that Humanity 101 could be copacetic, but it seems like there's still more teaching to do. So what I like to explain is, see, these are just metaphors. What I like to explain is, I'll give you an example. So before I even start doing this, I do this for a lot of scientists so they really don't argue with me and stuff. For the Christians and other religious people, it is what it is. You are who you are. You can either listen and follow along or disagree with what I say. It is what it is. It's just a little disclaimer. When your parents come together and the reproductive cells from both parents meet each other, what ends up happening is a process called meiosis, and then after that, a process called mitosis. And so then when your mother and father, who you should honor and respect if you can, to the best of your ability, I am no dictator, but when they come together and create that cell, or those group of cells, what ends up happening is that body, that individual inside the earth of the womb man, woman, that's funny. What happens is it does a bunch of splitting and then that person becomes. So when I say I am the creator, that's literally true from a scientific aspect. Now, for any Christians and stuff that want to argue with me, those are Bible scriptures and verses. So if you are angry with me saying I am the creator and in the beginning my spirit hovered above the waters, that's literally true. Because if I am one being and I was doing all that mitosis and stuff, it was inside the fluids of the womb, the dark womb. And then eventually, after a space and time, translations, I appear and light appears. No, sorry for those who are blind. These are just metaphors. I'm not meaning to be disrespectful, and I love everybody. And I am seeing and hoping that you all be healed. Okay. Anybody that doesn't appreciate me saying that, I'm sorry. So what I was basically saying is that, who I am creates my world. I create everything from a first person view. Everybody does. And so from that first person view, a lot of times what happens is Adam enters into the world, human beings and Eve's. This isn't a disrespect towards women, and please don't take it there. The Bible is an algorithm or allegory. Sorry, I meant to say allegory. It kind of is an algorithm, but for different prophets. But the point is, what I am basically saying is with this is who I am created the heart and the flesh. And with different words and writings, the firstborn, the consciousness, because first you have I just am, but then once a person comes out and has to start navigating and doing different things, actually based from my memory, I can't remember certain things in the womb and different that far back, but then a child as they grow begins to have awareness. With our awareness, people have been giving people source code programming Python. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Python, that's a metaphor. Thank you for all that you all do, the positive things. But like programming, like Python, what people have done was they unaware grabbed a fruit from a book and ate it. A lot of people it was forced onto from childbirth, but then people throughout the world sometimes go in and go, oh, I want to read this book. You know what I mean? And so what ends up happening is that's how it's like, gotcha. You start reading the book and now you're in there. You're going to do one of two things. You're going to accept it or deny it. Even if you deny it, based on most of your demographic, the way they spread this Bible around like wildfire, you'll probably have to end up living through it or having to deal with it in some way, shape, or form, especially if you're American or from the European sector of the Hunger Games. Just a little joke metaphor, but is it? Anyway, so the point is, the consciousness has been polluted and tainted on a mainstream. The consciousness has been polluted in a mainstream way throughout entire societies based on not only just religion, but a lot of different concepts from our forefathers and ideas and cultures. And so this isn't just like one group of people or one Bible or anything. It's happened to a lot of people throughout the world. And so what I try to do is I try to teach people to try to reprogram yourself, so to speak. When I say that, I'm not calling you all computers, and before computers and all that other stuff, I am. Understand what I'm saying? Before you even knew about any of that stuff, you were interacting and understanding with the world and learning about the world. An unaware child, as I would say. But a lot of people, as I said before, have been given vain religion. Like, I'll give you a concept. I am the creator. I am living life and enjoying things. I am thankful for everything around me and blah, 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 blah. But now, hellfire, religion, obey everything, the Lord God, Jesus, woo, but if you have idols, you're going to be destroyed, pagan, blah, 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 boom, just all of it. Big bang, boom. Prophet here, building here, shrine from the Lord here, woo, and a world starts to be built, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so this is why I try to teach people that once one becomes aware And once one understand what it truly means when it says, I am who I am the King of Kings, or for women, they would say, I am the Queen of Queens. And that's just talking about your spirit. And so then I would basically be teaching you to no longer fear pagan gods like God and Jesus and other names, you know what I mean? But basically be strong in who I am, yourself. And so then as you become more aware and grow and learn what's for you, that's why different things are written like, I am the one who frees from the land of bondage, because Egypt only means house of bondage. It's a metaphor talking about people. That's like now when people call America Babylon, because Babylon also only means to babble. So it's the name of a nation, but people through English have had a lot of fun. So what I'd like people to understand is you have yourself. I mean, I'm not saying it's just you in the world. What I am saying is this is from a self point of view. This is from first person view. This is why words like humble and humility exist. Because when people get out of character and do certain things for clout, power, money, business, different things, the corruption leaks over to the entire civilization and the children. And so what ends up happening is that, just like the scripture says, the sins of the parent leak onto the children. One person can think they're clever and get over on a whole bunch of people and say a bunch of stupid, foolish stuff, but then the children of the children of the children end up having to bear the pain that you birthed because of the corruption in your eye. And so your spirits, as you would call it, your consciousness would end up basically wanting to do this. So then the flesh goes and gives birth to your concepts. And then once you carry those things out, you now have a spirit going throughout the land. And so I'm getting a call right now, and I will have to either continue this later because I really want to talk about the consciousness of having a clean consciousness, a clean slate. Okay, back to a clean consciousness. That was just my cousin. I was really glad to hear from him. You know what I mean? It's good to hear from family. Glad he's doing okay. And, just speaking another blessing out there, he will be okay and everything will be fine. And so, back to a clean conscience. A lot of times what people do is they follow a main think tank or a main spirit or construct. And what ends up happening is they start building a city fortified with hatred and pollution and anger and like masking feelings with sadistic little quirky weird personal or personality traits. You know what I mean? And so what I mean is, like, I'll give you an example. Like, we see somebody starving and we got money. Okay, what is it to get that person a couple dollars? So then what will like the news and other people do? These people are robbers, they're stealing, they're panhandling and becoming rich. When it's like, okay, that's the irony of that is, and a lot of these people are like maimed and hurt. Like, I'll see people like, even if they're not a veteran or something or whatever's going on, they're still an older person that needs help. And that's what people don't see. Like, and so the news will be like, they're stealing and doing this and that and blah, 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 like more rhetoric. So what you just got to understand is a lot of people steal and take money, especially a lot of these rich people, and they don't expose them. They go after the people at the bottom and make their life worse than it has to be already. And so that's why I try to tell people to kind of be clear from all that and try to renew your mind, open up your mind, if you will. You know what I mean? Be at one with yourself, love yourself, and then when you truly love yourself, you can learn to love other people. Now, you can hear all the time, like, Caucasians are racist, Caucasians are racist, Caucasians are blah, blah, blah. But then you might meet a Caucasian person, and they might be a really nice person for real, for real. You hear all the time certain things like, oh, they're being fake, nice, racist, all this other weird stuff. Well, it's like, okay, if they being nice, they being nice. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of times people are projecting. And so even from a Caucasian's perspective, maybe all the time you hear black is bad, black, black, black. But then you meet the nicest African Americans or Africans or people of color, you meet the nicest people, and all that shit was bullshit, and you become friends. Same with people at work, even same race or same whatever. Just opening up. Who cares if they're Muslim? Get to know a person, because a lot of these Christian beliefs and foundations are making fun of Arabs and Muslims right now, and vice versa. And I'm telling you guys are basically built on a lot of the same foundations and morals, war from the Dark Ages. There was no Christianity and Muslims and Islam before the Middle Ages. They keep saying there was Christianity in 300 years before, blah, 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 blah. There was none of that, because if you go back then and say Christianity, they're going to look at you like you're stupid. So if you all understand what I'm saying, they don't know what they were doing, and we should worry about right now and what's going on in today's standards and morals. A lot of people don't understand the crippling deficit between the school systems and the information that's been rendered and handed out, and the amounts of data that different people were allowed to get. So now, this is why I advocate for KHAN, Khan Academy in English, on YouTube, because they have a lot of information about real science and real knowledge and real mathematics, and they have knowledge on everything, and it's free. They might have groups and Patreons, but I don't see none of that, because if you go to their actual, like, what a lot of times when I see big pages like Khan Academy, you go to their playlists. They have all types of information, all types of free knowledge and information. You guys might not be able to go to college and whatnot, but if you have a cell phone and a data plan, you can get to Khan Academy and you'll get real information and knowledge. I like to tell people that misinformation, and they do it on purpose. What they'll do is they'll say things like, you'll get a lot of extremists to tell you the moon landing wasn't real, and even people that have been misinformed, and they'll tell you different things aren't real. But then when people like Trump says Elon Musk is the reason we can go into space, people believe that, which is kind of silly to me. I don't know who would believe that. But the point is, a lot of this data and information has been out here. The reason we're just now getting it in this types of technology is because the elites have it first all the time. The military had a lot of this information and data science and knowledge and technology before we got it. Now we can walk around with cell phones. I like to think of a cell phone like a portal gun. I can take it and go wherever I want throughout the world while just sitting here. It's kind of like a little analogy or metaphor. And so, you know what I mean? Just a lot of words. Even if you think of the word metaphor and you look at meta, where did meta come from? You know what I mean? Where did metaphor come from? And so, even look at four. There's four. And a lot of people like to talk about the three, like stuff like the three wise men and the bright morning star and a lot of symbols and stuff. This is why I like to talk to people about biblical lore, because then I try to explain because first of all, any of these names, when I talk about the Bible, I'm strictly talking about from the allegory of the Bible at the moment. So all that it's not real and all this other stuff, when you guys say stuff like that, okay, I can be on both sides of the spectrum. I can be like, okay, it's a book and they're bringing the book to life. I understand. But that's the spiritual world I keep talking about. And this is what I'm trying to cleanse out and heal. So when dealing with the book, the three wise men, okay, you got Joshua and the judges, you got Elijah and the prophets. And even if you look at Elijah, look, there's Zerah there's Estra and then Ezra, right? That's Zoroaster. And so when they stop playing with history and start to tell the truth, you know what I mean? I don't know what happened to Zoroaster. That sounded like a very powerful, amazing, wise person for that many years ago. I think it was around like between 1,000 and 800 BC or 700, somewhere around that time. You know what I mean? And so that prophet set off a lot of amazing prophets. But the thing is, a lot of religion erupts afterwards, and a lot of religion follows when people do certain things. And so you have Joshua and the judges, Elijah and the prophets, or Zoroaster and the prophets, however you want to, whatever. I'm just trying to edify. And then you have Yanez or John the Baptist. And another interesting fact, Neo came from Naya. It's a new gift or a gracious gift. Then you have Yanez or Yanni, however you spell the dude's name, Yanni, in Greek, Aramaic, all that, or Yahya, which is still gracious gift. Then you have all the way down the line to John, Wani, Giovanni, Ivan, Yohanan, Ivan. So it all comes back together to Neo. I am Neo. I am Wani. So anyways, the point is, even if you just a look, even if you take the Ten Commandments, I am the one who frees from the land of Egypt. God came from Germanic paganism. I'm not saying it's bad or good. A person will use a tool how they will. What I'm saying is, I'm the one. You rearrange that. That's Neo. Wani. But anyways, basically, it's I'm a gracious gift. But I am salvation, so I am gracious salvation. Washua, or the Shua of Yeho, Shua of Yanes, Joshua, Yeshua, however you want to look at it. But anyways, the point is there was a man that was crucified named Yehohanan. But anyways, back to the original point. And then I look at the star in the sky, like Moses. He was like one. He was, even if there was a bunch of stuff that came before that, Moses had a bunch of historical stuff written in their Egyptian stuff. Well, then the man after that, Akhenaten, tried to restore his temples and stuff in the Amun and all the originals. It's a whole historical thing. The point is, I look back at the dates and he would be like Joshua, so to speak. That's where they would say he was trying to save the temple. Because the name Yeshua actually appears in 2000 BC in Canaan after Mentuhotep II, an African man, had to restore a bunch of stuff. I look at him like Ham or Abel. And I look at Amos or Moses like Seth. They called out on the name. Come on, dude, it's like right there. And then a bunch of lineages appeared, and then a flood and an ark out of all that. But anyways, the point is, so you would have the bright star like Amos or Moses in history. Then you would have, now I want to iterate what's happening with that real quick. So you would have Atum, which was like around 4000 BC, around that time period. And then you would have Mu'a around 3000 to 2600, which is a lot of what me and Narmer was spreading around. The first like African king or something like that, that was like unifying kingdoms. Then they had the like laws of Mu'at and that type of stuff, and they had respect for their gods and they had laws. Well, then later down the line, 10 of those laws will become the 10 Commandments. But what they did was they took it, and a Levitical man and a Levitical woman, that's just symbolic, people that were involved with the law, so kings and stuff. I don't think people are understanding this. Moses, what he did was he made a little basket out of tar and pitch, and he made the 10 Commandments, so to speak, in history. So what he did was he took the ark, which was the phrase from the beginning, I am. So if I exist, no matter what they were saying in different cultures, they exist. Then you have put nothing before me, the God or whatever, right? The word and spirit. Now it's in our hearts. Well, then you have the have no other idols and don't take who I am in vain. But then that's the ark, the first 3 commandments. And then you have the other 7, the spirit that hovers above the waters, the ark that lasted throughout time. And then you have the rainbow in the sky, the other 7 days in the commandment. It's all symbolic. What they do is they took the covenant and started creating poetry around it and stories and beautiful ideology from our ancestors for the descendants. And so what a lot of different people is, because I don't hate all Catholics, there was a lot of people martyred. You wouldn't believe how many popes and bishops actually were martyred, and they're part of the body. They was just trying to spread righteousness and love and peace to heathens and psychopaths and crazy people. So a lot of people are mixed in together when it shouldn't be like that. We should be looking at the individual and their contribution to history and their contribution to life and what they bring to the table, so to speak, when we do eat, if that makes sense. And so that's not a metaphor. I mean, I'm not into cannibalism. That, you know what I'm saying? That's just a metaphor. And so for knowledge and information. And so, you know what I mean? I essentially teach people that once a person learns these different things, and then you have who I would say like Ezra and Ezra and Zerah, right? Or whatever the books, the Estra, whatever the books of the Bible are. So they would say you have Perez and Zerah, right? Perez is a Hispanic name, and then Zerah, the one that came first, but then came out after when his name will be revealed, Yehohanan. I think that's interesting. But anyways, the point is, a lot of people are still catching up, so I try not to give too much meat at once, but simply help people understand and gather their thoughts and feelings and emotions to bring them back to the side of mercy and forgiveness and kindness and come out of these conceptual ideas that they're going to burn in an eternal hellfire. Because look, it takes fuel for a fire to burn. So right there, there's going to be this magical fire, right? Apparently. And then it's going to be in bodies that can't be destroyed, but they can feel all the pain. Is that what people are coming up with? Like, that's ridiculous, dude. That's psychotic and destructive. And so this is why I'm trying to teach people to wake up and start understanding themselves so that they can be more aware. That awareness I was talking about, and be more conscious of their decisions and their actions. Because as children, we were brought into a world where people took a lot of knowledge and information and started enslaving minds, and it will stop, and they will be kind now, and they will begin to help and heal the world. And so I'm thankful for Kamala, and all the anti-rhetoric and foolishness will be looked upon as Nazism and stupidity in history when they find out the true knowledge and information. But anyways, anybody that likes to continue to play around in Germany some more, that's not rhetoric against Germany. I love cheeseburgers and I love Germans. I'm just basically saying Trump, the grandson of a German immigrant, is running rampant, and I think he's dissociating and becoming delusional with the fame and power. And so, I just try to teach people that we're all a part of the human body. The whole idealism, Nazism, Zionism, you got to be Muslim. We've all been Muslims since the beginning. You're forced to bow to the Lord Jesus Christ, who says, be free and do what you will and don't follow religious men. You know what I mean? It's like it's time to wake up. It's time to stop being baffled and buffooned by stupidity. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's best if we learn to love each other and help each other and give encouragement and encouraging words and not be so covetous. But it's good to want nice things, but the system needs to change, and then we can have nice things. You know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, back to the point. If you think about the rock being struck twice in the wilderness, as I've said before, it's kind of like the prophets and the apostles being struck, the other two. The judges became mightily corrupt. I don't want to think of it like this, but once they left the wilderness, or even in the wilderness, what happened was, in a metaphorically speaking type way, Aaron, when he took Moses' ideologies and became Pharaoh, so different pharaohs that tried to become great like him and started oppressing people, struck the word and spirit, so to speak, the prophets and the apostles throughout history, and their oppression spread throughout the world. So when I talk about pharaohs, I keep telling people that pharaohs came from the Semitic people, the Asiatic shepherd kings. That's why the winners write history. And if you look at what they're saying the god Hashem is blessed, but the Arabs enslaved North Africa. And even before that, the Asiatic shepherd kings went and tried to enslave Africa. But then an African man, Moses, and then his African wife, that it's even written that she's African, had to free a bunch of people afterwards. And so I'm just trying to teach people to wake up and understand history and learn and grow, because that's the way, that's the light, that waking up and being a part of life, a true civilization, like in those Star Wars movies and Star Trek, where there's like different aliens and humans and different creatures all coming together and loving each other and being a civilization. You don't want to be like the Empire in this story, man. The stormtroopers and the shadow clones that are trying to destroy the true democracy. Because I'm not going to play and say the Republic, because what's going to happen is then, like I said, they're playing with rhetoric and lies and getting people to try to harm each other in the media, and that stuff is going to end. I don't appreciate them with the history that America has had and with their God that they claim to be their Lord that forgives everybody. I don't understand why they're so harsh on other countries and bringing up all the stuff from the past, but then when you bring up anything from American history, it's a long time ago. But then they'll go to Russia and China and spit all these facts. Right, that doesn't, whatever. Anyways, the point is, and I keep telling you all, Putin has nothing to do with Trump, and Putin is not in cahoots with Trump right now. All this Ukrainian stuff was happening a long time ago. Like, you guys, what you guys will do is, like I'm saying in these comments, people will be like, Obama is the reason for racism and segregation. That's what people are saying in comments, and I think that is really fucking ridiculous. This is why I think, like, they'll be like, China has control over their blah, blah, blah in Russia. Now, like, you'll hear a lot of people in America and the West and the EU talking about Russia bad and the USSR and what happened, blah, blah, blah. then you'll actually read Russians and Russian comments, and they're like, what are you guys talking about? I've seen videos of Russia and Russian people walking through Russia and explaining their lives. There's ghettos and bad places everywhere. But from the looks of it, it looks like it's all about the same. It's called propaganda. I'm seeing a lot of Africans and a lot of Chinese people and Asians go to China and Africa and vice versa, and they're showing beautiful stories about it. Independent people that are from these other countries. They're not, it's like, dude. And then even the civilians are running up, they don't know it's too many people to be fake. Like you guys are, even the people I'm seeing Chinese people do walkthroughs of their own civilization, Africans and different people. You know what I mean? It's like the whole Russia, Soviet Union, Cold War, do we go to the moon? It's like, come on, dude. Let's stop playing. Let's wake up and tell the truth. So and another thing for all the scientists and different people, the word and spirit. What I try to teach people, without the Holy Spirit and the spirit of people wanting to come together and create civilizations and greater technology and build for the better, now, because of science and data and technology, the blind can see because of surgeries. And I'd also, just like I apologize to like a lot of data scientists and programmers and people in that field, so the same for doctors and people with medical innovations and different nurses and medical staff, because you guys don't understand these rich people that own hospitals and data farms and data companies and stuff. They get in the media and the CEOs and take all the credit and blah, 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 while the hardworking people invent and create all this stuff. But the blind can see again because of surgeries and certain surgeries that are happening with the nervous system and the nerves and reattaching new organs. They're able to clone different things. And it's not like they can clone any organ or anything with different DNA. So that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, it's not the way you guys are thinking, like, oh, they're cloning and doing it. It's like, anyways, the point is, what I'm trying to teach people is that have respect for yourself and nature and culture like they did in the ancient Kemet and the ancient civilizations. They keep talking about our roots are voodoo and killing animals are ritual. No, it's not. It's so tiring. If you guys love the Greek philosophers so much, then tell the truth about where they got all their knowledge and information. If you love Noah and all the stuff about righteousness, then you'll learn about mean armor and tell the truth about ancient civilization and African culture and lore. And why there was temples and pyramids and technology, 15,000, and sundials and observatories. It's getting really tiring correcting people. But anyways, like I try to tell people, have a beautiful life, love yourself, learn yourself, know these different civilizations and cultures, know the truth about the people that were trying to heal in different time periods. But even still, I wouldn't argue and fight about none of this stuff. We weren't there. You see these Christians trying to be righteous and holy, and Israelis and Muslims, but look who's perpetuating all this war and buffoonery and violence. It's like, come on, it's time to be truthful and tell what's real. Oh, and back to the Holy Spirit, and the blind can see now certain people, and because of cochlears, the deaf can hear again. So what is that? The Holy Spirit giving somebody the holiness, understanding, and discernment. This is real stuff, not cosplay. Of being able to sit in a classroom, retain information and be aware about it, and then be able to store it all, and then go perform actual surgeries, actually be able to go take care of patients and different people and do the right thing. But then what happens? Boom. Prescription companies and all these medical firms and all this other stuff. It's just, so once we can start to do what's right and help the innocent, then the whole world can be healed. But because I'm telling y'all, most of y'all do it, I think. You get all, oh, what's going to happen when I die? And I want to go pray to a priest. No, that's going to matter if you spent a lifetime being aware of being an asshole. I'm telling you, you're going to mock yourself because you're not going to have that stronghold of being serious or of loving and being caring. You're going to continually take it further and further and further into a black hole of misery. But one can simply just wake up, learn and understand, and get rid of all these sacrificial laws, all these big books of buffoonery, and use in a religious sense, but use the word and spirit to build yourself back up again. So I might start reading Psalms, and I might start reading Psalms and Proverbs and stuff. But just like how they say David can't build a temple. Did you know David and Solomon's a warlock? Did you know the real David and Solomon are Sunesis, where they get psychology from, and Poseidon and Pisces and all these words? Sunesis, which was an African pharaoh, and Amenemot, his son, or however it works, the instructions of Amenemot. And so they were pharaohs that was building up the temple again, both of them. You have Moses, Akhenaten, or Amos, Akhenaten, Sunesis, and Amenemot. And they were righteous men building up the temple for the same name. Amun, Atum, or Amun and the Atum, or 10, they like to switch words around in English. And then the Amun and the Amun again. So, well, they say David and Solomon can't build the temple and try to destroy it. They're all Africans. I wonder why. They're putting in the word and spirit to destroy almost every African nation. Ham is cursed. David and Solomon can't build the temple. They use their Proverbs and all their wisdom and stuff and Psalms and stuff. Right. And each of these men are at the Akhenaten 1300 Joshua, right? Moses around the 1500s, right? I will make you a pharaoh to them or a god to them, and then other men take his garment and become corrupt. Ramses, and then Sunesis puts an end to all that. But anyways, this is so interesting. But then you have David and Sunesis around the same time, and then after that, Ezra and it's the prophets Estra or Ezra or something like that, and then you got Zerah from the prophecy. So Ezra, which ends up coming out to be and Esther. Yeah, Ezra and Esther, Zoroaster. Because if you move Ezra around, you get Zerah, and then if you move Esther around, that's Zoroaster. They're clever. It's like allegories and stuff. You gotta find the information. And then you got Yanez, right? Everybody's name is John and Juan and Giovanni and Ivan and Jean, and they know what they're doing. They have this man's bone in Israel in a museum too. It's the real crucified man, Yanez. But in French and Latin, it's Yeho, where they got Jehovah, where Netanyahu tried to steal the name from, Akhenaten and Yeho, which is gracious gift. But, you know, it is what it is. So I just try to tell the truth, and I hope people can stop harming the innocent and being violent and be more like the end of Monsters, Inc., to where they got more energy from the laughter and love and happiness versus terrifying people and putting them through the refinery spiritually. So, I am who I am. I am with thee. I will never leave thee or forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, and follow the 10 Commandments. As I was with all the great ones, so Allah will be with you all. Greater things who I am and you all will do. Love who I am with all your heart and soul, and follow the 10 Commandments. And love your neighbor the same. The sacrificial cross and all the different prophets and stuff already went to y'all already struck the rock, and y'all already took the sacrificial law to the cross, and he started teaching the 10 Commandments. Read Jesus to your blue in the face, and I bet you it'll be a bunch of the 10 Commandments about adultery and loving your neighbor and all this other stuff. So, you know, and even with adultery, that can mean a deeper thing with the spirit, meaning don't adulter against who I am when I've already given you peace and love, so to speak, no matter what comes your way, if that makes sense. And I know through grace, right, I am gracious. You're steadily moving this grace word around. Yanez, right, the one who brought that Christ mind type stuff. Many before him, but you know how it goes. There was many prophets and many different people. So I love you all, and I hope you all can start to become more clear-minded and more at rest with yourself, and enjoy the day of rest. From Atum, 4000 BC till 2000 AD, right? And now it's the 7th day. And now we're in the 7th day enjoying rest. So people, you know, enjoy lives, and is it not written who I am, created mankind in the image of that which I am? Let us make man in who I am's image. So it's just a little word in spirit, if you will. Wani Jr. out.